Welcome back, guys. Let's look at some local housing data. All right, wasting no time, jumping right into the Venice market here, guys. This is going to come from the National Association of Realtors. It's a little different than the stats that I give you guys at the end of the month from the Florida Association of Realtors, so results may vary. We're going to be looking at Venice first. This is the area that is going to encompass for this housing data. This is RPR, a National Association of Realtors resource that we use. It's not going to cover South Venice, and it's not going to cover Venice Gardens. It is also not going to cover Welland Park, which we will get into next because that is Northport. Even though it has a Venice address, it's going to go in with the Northport stats. So we've got some interesting numbers here in Venice because according to this, it is a seller's market there currently with only 4.38 months supply of inventory. It's down almost 8% from the previous month. Median sold price is $410,000. But before you guys jump the gun, wait till you see what the trailing median sold price has been doing. Before that, we'll kick it off with active number of properties. As you can see, Venice, this area of Venice, bottomed out with 122 homes on the market. That's it in November of 21. It has since exploded. Every year, they are currently at 746, which is actually down. It was 877 here at the beginning of season for this particular area. So because homes have sold and people are delisting, you're seeing this drop off here, but it's going to be coming back relatively shortly. It happens every year. As you see, the low point is August here, and then September, October, November, it starts ticking up. Again here, low point is August, same exact pattern. So we're almost back in season. We're almost about to start seeing another inventory surge hit the market. It's going to be an interesting year because, as you can see, we haven't taken enough off the market to really stop the price declines. Now, they have two very good instances of the sold listing data. This sold listing data is just from the MLS. So as you can see, if we go by the MLS numbers, Venice has kind of been all over the place until about March of this year. It dropped off from February to March hard, going from 476 on the median down to 421, and has since basically declined down to 410. It's still on the downslope. And right around that time, they peaked at 5.58 months of inventory, which, economists will tell you is a seller's market. But as you can see right here in April, it's basically when the price decline started. So even though it was a seller's market, and it still is a seller's market, the prices are still going down. Now, this section they have I really like. This is sold public records. So they will pull basically anything off of a deed or a property record, any qualifying sale transaction, they say, each month. This is going to have more stuff like your new construction, your private sales. It's not as accurate. They do say it's not as accurate. But according to this, Venice peaked around 568 in April of 2024 for a median sold price, now sitting down at 410,000. So you have what is considered a strong seller's market, but as you can see, prices have been consistently declining. We're seeing this in Tampa and some other places. Very interesting because it's got to baffle some people where how can it be a seller's market and we're still seeing price declines? Well, I think we need to really reevaluate how we categorize these things. They haven't updated these in 20 years, basically, how they do these numbers. But we'll save that for another video. We'll go into a rant there at some other time. This is going to be Northport. Now, as you can see, Northport is encompassing Welland Park. Some areas of Welland Park, because Welland Park actually stretches down to Minnesota now. If some of you guys have been paying attention, driving by Boca Royale Golf and Country, you'll notice it says of Welland Park at the bottom. Never said that before. According to this, Northport is in a balanced market, coming out of a buyer's market where it was, in my opinion, for the majority of the spring selling season. Median sold price sitting at about $310,000. 6.2 months of inventory. Now, they do have a median estimated property value for each of these places, but this is basically like your estimate. This is the same stuff Zillow uses, but even if you look at what they have, Northport is in the blue on a constant downslide since April of 2023. This is Greater Sarasota County following not as drastically. The yellow is Florida as a whole, which is very stable, and the red is the USA, which appears to be climbing nationwide. Northport's active listings, as you can see, bottomed out here in June of 21, only 145 single-family homes on the market, and has since skyrocketed every year. This thing is not coming down. We're up to 990 currently on the market. That is very high. It's the highest it's been in 5 years, probably 10 years when I look back maybe even more than that. Actually, some sections of Northport are back to 2013, 2012 levels of inventory. Now, you would think that would have a strong impact on the prices in Northport, and you'd be absolutely right. Look at this. So according to this, Northport peaked at $400,000 for their median sales price in June of 22. It is now down to $310,000. That's over a 20% decrease. And people say, no, it's not happening. That's the median, by the way, guys. So, and the house you could get for $310 now in Northport is very different than the house you could get for $310 back when the prices were peaked out like this. So that has to be taken into consideration as well. I wanted to pop into Inglewood real quick, guys, just show you the numbers here. Really, really close to a buyer's market there. Median sold price $362, 6.62 months of inventory. And then we're going to hop right into Rotunda West. Actually, not as strong of a buyer's market as I would have thought. I'm interested to see what South Gulf Cove comes up as, though, because that one's usually really bad. So 7.42 so far, the biggest buyer's market we've seen as far as months supply of inventory goes. Oh my, when you look at their median estimated property value, oh God, look at this. Rotunda West topping out, according to them, estimated value. Again, this is an algorithm. $679,000 was the median estimated value in December of 2022. That has fallen to $480,000. Actually, by the way that cliff looked, I thought it would be bigger than that, but it's only $200,000. Yikes. So 259 listings on the market in Rotunda West right now. Oh my goodness, look at this. God. Wow, and it's peaked. It hasn't come down. Just skyrocketed here since last year, since the hurricanes. Whew. And this is where I can illustrate where their algorithm kind of gets things a little wrong. If we look at the raw sold data, instead of the median estimated value there, it looks like June 22 was the peak with the median sales price of $525,000. That is now down to $373,000. Oh, my Lord. $150K down. Oof. Month supply of inventory up 107%. You don't see this. Oh, my God. You don't see numbers like that because we usually don't dive down into these specific zip codes, these specific areas on the Florida Realtors. We just kind of do counties. So you don't see 107% increase in the month supply of inventory. Good Lord. Oh, my God. And we're coming right back into season. It's about to start all over again. Only 36 properties sold in the month of August in Rotunda West. 259 currently on the market. That means you have a 13% chance that you're going to sell your house if you list it next month. South Gulf Cove. Guys, I'm going to argue that this is the worst housing market in the country. In the country, worse than Austin, Texas. No one pays attention to it because it's a small community. But I'm going to say, with 13.88 months of inventory, still, that number has been consistently 12 or higher for the better part of a year because I've used it last year negotiating new construction deals. It's higher now, but it's actually down 10% from last month. 13.88. The scale doesn't even go. The scale doesn't even go to where this could represent on this thing. Oh, my Lord. Wow. To think in December of 21, they had 30 houses on the market. That's it. Now they have 10 times that amount. They have 310 house. 310 house. And you know what? All things considered, median price is not doing too bad. I mean, it peaked at $649 here in May of 22, but if you were to average all these out, it was still $627 in March of 24, dipped in October, obviously the hurricanes, but it's not as substantial of a drop that it really should be when you have that kind of month supply of inventory. They're selling about 33 properties a month, and that's up from last month. They only sold, oh my God, but they only sell 17 properties the month before. 22, I guess. Oh my God. And yet, median sales price is actually holding up fairly well for given the conditions. Oh my God. From one boating community to another, let's go over to Punta Gorda Isles. Now, this is just PGI, guys. This is not going to be the entire city of Punta Gorda. Punta Gorda Isles, 6.86 months of inventory. Buyer's market. But not tragic. It's not horrendous. Now, it's not 13.88 months of inventory like South Gulf Cove, but I guess their prices weren't moving, so 156 properties on the market, an absolute dog pile of homes coming on the last, again, the hurricane, obviously, but it was happening the year before too, guys. It's also happening in Northport where they didn't get flooded from these hurricanes. This is just the situation here in Southwest Florida. Inventory is piling on, and it peaked at 189. Now there's 156. That's come down a bit, but like you'll see here, kind of happens every season, and come September, October, we start to go back up. And actually, we just never stopped last year. Oh my goodness, it just went straight up from April. So they actually had some reprieve in 24. 23 was just a straight line up into 24. Oh boy, but now we are sky high here. You know, number of sold properties, kind of all over the place. If you were to average some of this out since 22, I'd say that's staying pretty consistent. Median sold price, not doing too consistent. Whew, peaked out at, did it peak here or did it peak in December? Peaked in December? No, peaked in January of 23 at 1.05 million was the highest median sold price that they saw in PGI. And then that went on, looks like, till about December, January 24, and it's been status quo ever since. Took a pretty good dip in June of 25, back up here a little to 710, but there's so many different types of waterfront properties here. Right now it's at 690. There's so many different areas and sailboat and non-sailboat and, how long it's going to take you to get out. But the decline is here. It's obvious. Though in August of 24, there's only 74 homes on the market. August of 25 is 156, double the amount of homes for sale. Cape Coral, the worst housing market in the nation, as they call it. I'll show you guys again what this area encompasses. This is just Cape Coral. So normally when we pull these numbers, it's Lee County. You'll get Fort Myers and everything in here, but we're just going to break these down into these sub-segments. Month supply of inventory, 6.67. Not terrible. Buyer's market. Number of properties on the market, 3,107. In that small of an area is pretty big. It was down to 1,014 in December of 21, but as of April, it was over 4,200. It's taken a really drastic slide. They've taken over 1,000 homes off the market, whether that was sales or it was delisting. It's going to be interesting to see how Cape Coral fares coming back into the season here. I know there's going to be more listings, but this is one of the stronger dips. We haven't seen a drop off like this substantial on this graph at all, except when the market was picking up extensively into 21. So I don't know. Maybe recovery for Cape Coral here. Maybe they're bottoming out. And their month supply of inventory following that sharp decline. I mean, they had over 10 months. Cape Coral was getting absolutely murdered in season, and this is an avalanche. That is a very steep drop. You see that it happens here last year, but it's not that steep. So this is going to be one to keep an eye on. This might be stabilizing. We'll see. Too early to tell. Still a buyer's market. But if we don't replenish these listings coming into season, things could change for Cape Coral in 26. We'll see. So we're going to jump into Port Charlotte here. And this is kind of some of the limitations of this program. This is actually all Punta Gorda down here in the Deep Creek area. But it doesn't have Charlotte Harbor, and it does not include the expansion areas like over here or in Westport. Gulf Cove is still Port Charlotte. You know what I mean? Like this should all be included. I guess it gets a little too condensed sometimes, and there's no way for me to add multiple zip codes. So it wouldn't include Westport in here, which I don't like. So in that map area, they're saying it's still a buyer's market in Port Charlotte. Active listings still on the rise in the Port Charlotte area. No signs of slowing down, and they are not dropping off as we just saw in Cape Coral. These are still flatlining here. Median sales price peaking at about $372,000 in October of 2022 of all months. We got smashed with Ian like in the end of September. That's very odd. And then boom, $299 right now. So another, that's a 20% drop. Another 20% drop. I can't do that math in my head anymore. So Port Charlotte got down to 1 month of inventory, March 21, now sitting at 6.9 according to this. Going to have another blowout season. There's no way around it. It's not diving off like Cape Coral's did. It's pretty steady, and we're about to start listing more homes. All right, guys, that's all I got for today. If you like this video, give me a like, share, subscribe, and I'll see you next time.